Today we're going to be playing some Esper Modern Mill. I'll be going over a deck tech here, and then I'll play a couple games with you guys. Um, just as a quick note, I am playing on Xmage. It is a free software that lets you play Magic online. It's like Magic the Gathering online, except it's for free. You have all the cards in the game. You can make any deck. You can play Modern, Standard, Legacy, Brawl, etc. So if you guys are a little confused on the format or the layout of the gameplay, that would be why. I'll leave a link in the description for it. Super easy to use. I love it. You know, you don't got to pay for anything. I'm still in high school and I'm pretty broke, so it helps with the checkbook. Now going over to deck list, like I said, we are playing Esper Modern Mill. My deck is pretty different compared to others, but I've been playing Mill for about, I'd say, 3.5 years now. It was my first competitive Modern deck. I've always loved Mill. It'll always be my baby. I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games playing it, so I've fine-tuned it pretty well. To kick things off, we play 4 Ensnaring Bridge, 3-cost artifact. Each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand cannot attack. So, for example, you have 2 cards in hand, they have a 3/3, can't attack you. Pretty short and simple. It's a great card, great for stalling the game or just sitting behind it. We play 4 of those. Fraying Sanity, many of you may be familiar with if you're looking into a mill deck. You enchant the player, and then on their end step, the number of cards you milled, it mills that many. So, for example, if we mill them for 10, and then we go to our end step, it mills them for 10. A nice thing to note about Fraying Sanity is it's cards from anywhere. So let's say your opponent plays 5 spells on their turn, and then they move to their end step. Fraying Sanity still triggers and mills them 5 more cards because they played 5 cards that turn. Another nice thing that a lot of people don't know about with Fraying Sanity is if you have 2 of them on the field and you milled your opponent 10, the first one checks and it mills them 10, but then when the second one checks, it sees that your opponent has milled now a total of 20. So the second Fraying Sanity will mill them 420 in this example. It's an enchantment curse, 2 colorless and a blue, nothing too fancy for mana cost. We only play 3 of them. A lot of mill decks play 4. After playing this deck hundreds of times, the reason why we play 3 Fraying Sanity is 1 is great to have. You know, 1, you always want to have 1. You know, it does so much work, it's unbelievable. 2 is great. You know, when you have 2 Fraying Sanities out and you play a mill spell, you're pretty much one-shot your opponent, and that's why it feels bad to have like 3 or even your 4th one. If you run 4, it's like, ugh. Like, if this was a mill spell, I would have won by now, you know? So that's why we only play 3. Moving on to Archive Trap here. It normally costs 3 colorless and 2 blue. Most of you are probably like, whoa, you know, how are we going to pay that? Well, let's read it. If an opponent searched his or her library this turn, you may pay 0. Yes, that is correct. You can pay 0 instead of paying 5. And its ability is target opponent puts the top 13 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. This is a phenomenal card for Modern. There are so many decks that run fetches, obviously. You know, this is Modern. Almost every deck runs fetches. So it's a free mill 13, essentially. We run 4 of those. Moving on to Crypt Incursion, 2 colorless and a black, and it's instant speed. It states, exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard. You gain 3 life for each card exiled this way. This thing does work. I won't lie to you. On average, you're going to be gaining like 20 to 30 life. And we run 2 of those. I see a ton of decks run 3 main board and 1 sideboard. The only reason we run just 2 main board and none sideboard is because it's great to have 1. It's kind of like Fraying Sanity. You know, you feel really good when you have 1, but Crypt Incursion is even worse, because if you exile their whole graveyard and you get a second Crypt Incursion, yeah, you might have milled them a little more. Yeah, they have maybe 2, 3, 4 more creatures, but, you know, it's a dead card, essentially, after you hit that second one. So that's why we only play 2 of them. Where this deck list gets pretty spicy is we actually run 4 surgical extractions. And the reason we do this is because we're mill. I'm astonished that so many people don't run surgical extractions main board. By turn 2, we're gonna mill them either 8 or 10 cards. And especially in modern, there are so many decks that just cannot compete with a turn 2 surgical extraction on a key aspect of their deck. Like for example, Storm. If you turn 2 surgical grape shot, they kind of have to scoop. They can't win. Or even against control, turn 2 surgicaling like a Teferi or Snapcaster Mage or anything like that is huge. So we run 4 of those. It is game breaking, this card, and especially like I said, we're mill. We are seeing so many cards being put into our opponent's graveyard. It's just crazy that people don't run this. And just a quick a quick tip with surgical extraction is unless obviously they're playing control and you're worried about it being countered, or they have a way to bounce cards from their graveyard back to their hand or library, those are very rare cases. But normally with surgical extraction, you want to let your opponent draw per turn and then surgical extract the card from their graveyard, because it's a small chance, but I have had it happen where the card you surgical extract, they drew that card for their draw per turn, and then their draw per turn for that turn is dead because you surgical extracted it. So you always want to play it out like that, unless obviously you have to worry about a counter spell or them bouncing stuff, or So that's just a quick tip with surgical extraction. Moving on to cantrips, we only play 4 of them. We play 2 Visions of Beyond, instant, 1 blue. It says draw a card. If a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, draw 3 cards instead. A nice thing to note about this, too, is if you're playing mill on mill and you are the one that has 20 cards in your graveyard, you still get to draw 3. We only play 2 of these is because mid to late game, these are very, very nice to have, but early game, having an opening hand with, let's say we mainboarded 4 of these and you have an opening hand of 2 of these, it's going to take a while for you to start milling, and then you're kind of just stuck with this card. Either you have to hold on to or you have to cycle. On a side note, don't be afraid to cycle a Visions of Beyond on your turn, like 2 or 3, if you really need to hit a land drop or you really need to find some gas. It's better to find something and dig deeper than to sit there with Visions of Beyond and never be able to play it because you just die. For our other 4 cantrips, we play 4 Thought Scour. Many of you are probably familiar with it. 1 blue instant, target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, draw a card. So we're always going to be milling our opponent the 2 and then draw a card. A great tip is, if you can, it's obviously very situational, but if you go like Island, don't Thought Scour them right away. You want to play your Island and pass it to them, and then Thought Scour on their end step, because you can make them think you're on control or a different deck completely, and it could drastically affect their turn 1, and in most cases it does. Moving on to our land base, we play 3 Flooded Strand, nothing fancy there, blue-white fetch. We play 3 Polluted Delta, nothing fancy there, blue-black fetch. We play 3 Field of Ruin, and this is another thing that makes me scratch my head, is I see a ton of mill decks still playing Ghost Quarter, and the reason why we play Field of Ruin is, obviously, both of them tap for the colorless mana, but Field of Ruin has the effect, and it states, pay 2 colorless mana, tap Field of Ruin, sacrifice Field of Ruin, destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. Each player searches his or her library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield, then shuffles his or her library. So the reason we play this instead of Ghost Quarter is a simple word, and that word comes down to may. May. In Ghost Quarter, it says your opponent may search their library. And oftentimes, before Field of Ruin was even printed, once our opponent knows that we're playing mill, they don't want to search because they're afraid of our archive trap, or they know we have an archive trap. Where with Field of Ruin, we can work around that. They don't have a choice. They can search their library and fail to find a basic land, but they still have to search. So that's the reason why we play those. We play 3 Field of Ruin. When it comes to white mana in the board, we play 2 Hollowed Fountain. The reason why we play 2 Hollowed Fountain is just card wise, we play more blue stuff than white, or excuse me, we play more blue stuff than black stuff. So that's why we play 2 Hollowed Fountain and then 1 Godless Shrine. We play 2 basic swamps, 2 basic islands. We are kind of a slower deck in the whole modern scene, so we want to conserve our life as much as possible, despite the fact of obviously all the fetches and surgical extractions and whatnot. So we play the 4 Drowned Catacombs and then 3 Watery Graves to top it off. So a total of 23 lands, pretty standard. And then going back to surgical extraction, most of you already know, but I'll add the keynote. It does have Phyrexian mana, which means it can be paid with a black mana or 2 life. 99% of the time, we want to be paying the 2 life because a great example is moving over to our key mill cards. Our first one is Breaking and Entering. Forget about the entering part of the card. We're only using Breaking. Blue-black, sorcery, target player mills 8. Pretty simple. So what we can do is, if on our turn 2 we mill them 8, and that we see a key card that they milled, we can just pay the 2 life and surgical extract it. So that's why most of the time we're going to be paying the 2 life for surgical extraction. So we run 3 Breaking and Entering. We did have to shave one of them just to make the deck run smoother and function as a whole. So we play 3 Breaking and Entering. Glimpse the Unthinkable is the exact same thing as Breaking and Entering, except for we have our opponent mill 10 instead of 8. So it's just a better Breaking and Entering. And we play 4 Glimpse the Unthinkable. Mind Funeral it's a spicy card, I'm not going to lie, if you don't know what it does already. It's a colorless black and blue sorcery, and it states your opponent keeps milling until they hit 4 lands. So to some of you, it might seem bad right now, but I can tell you very truthfully, most modern decks only run anywhere from 17 to maybe 25, 26 at the high end for, control being the high end, burn being the low end. So the median is about, 23, 22. And you got to realize, too, at the time you play Mind Funeral, you've probably already cast a Glimpse the Unthinkable and a Breaking and Entering, or 2 Breaking and Enterings, or, whatever. So Mind Funeral it's on average, it's from like 17 to about 23, 22 cards it'll mill. So it's a great card. And it might seem obvious, but I see a lot of people misplay this too. Is let's say you have 5 available mana and you have a Mind Funeral and a Glimpse the Unthinkable or Breaking and Entering. You want to play the Glimpse the Unthinkable or Breaking and Entering first and then the Mind Funeral, because you want to get rid of more lands first and then Mind Funeral, because then statistically your Mind Funeral is going to be bigger. And then moving on, the last 4 of our cards is Path to Exile. These are our only main board white cards in the Esper version of this mill deck. Many of you are familiar with Path to Exile, 1 white, instant, exile target creature. But the reason why we're Esper is mainly for sideboard, but it allows us 4 Path to Exile, and that's something this deck struggles with, is a lot of the blue-black versions of this deck run Fatal Push, and with matchups such as Tron, they do very, very poorly because, your opponent can do a Wormcoil Engine or a Emrakul, and there's nothing you really can do to it. You just get smashed in the face if you don't have an Ensnaring Bridge. Well, Path to Exile is a great example of why we play Esper Mill, is because it can literally exile anything unless it has hexproof or protection from white, obviously. But then another key feature with Path to Exile is if you exile your opponent's creature, they have the choice to search for a basic land. And you can definitely play into this if you go turn 1, like, go, and then you path to exile something and you're sitting with a bunch of archive traps, they're obviously going to search for that land, and then you can archive trap them a bunch. Another thing that's nice too is once they know we're on mill and we path to exile something, most opponents are scared to search because they think we're sitting on an archive trap or two. So it gets even better for us. We get to exile something, and there's no repercussion at all. Our opponent isn't land ramping. Moving on to sideboard, and this is what makes blue black mill and Esper Mill, and especially my version of this deck, so much better. Is the sideboard, because we play 3 Leyline of Sanctity. Many of you are probably familiar with it. If it's in your opening hand, you can start with it on the battlefield, so you don't have to pay the cost for it. It states you have hexproof. So anything against 8 rack, Jeskai control, burn, anything that really targets you. This is a great card. And a lot of opponents really don't see this. It blindsides a lot of people. And the thing is too, is it helps out against so many decks. There's no reason not to play it. Moving on, we play 3 Leyline of Sanctity. You can play 4 if your meta really needs it, but I find 3 is enough. Fragmentize we play 3 of, and this is another reason why you have to play Esper Mill and not Blue Black, is because if you're playing Blue Black Mill, you really don't have any answer to a Leyline of Sanctity against you. And what I'm trying to say is, let's say our opponent starts the game with Leyline of Sanctity, right? Well, let's go over to Archive Trap. Target opponent. Breaking. Target player. Glimpse the Unthinkable. Target player. Mind Funeral. Target opponent. Even Thought Scour, our simple cantrip. Target player. So the problem with Blue Black Mill is it essentially is like a mono red burn, if you guys are familiar with that deck list. Is if your opponent gets a white Leyline out, you kind of have to scoop. You don't have an answer to it. It's like if you guys have ever played the matchup of you're on 8 rack and your opponent starts the game with a white Leyline. It's kind of just game at that point. So that's why we play the Fragmentize. And not only that, but against Affinity, to be able to Fragmentize a plating or a Signal Pest or something like that is huge. And then the reason why we play Fragmentize instead of like Disenchant or something like that is it only costs 1 white. And then not only that, but it destroys target artifact or enchantment with converted mana cost 4 or less. If our opponent is playing artifacts or enchantments that are costing more than 4, we're probably going to be in a lot more trouble than we can handle anyways. And the main reason for Fragmentize is to get rid of the white Leyline, and white Leyline costs perfectly 4, so that's why we play the Fragmentize. Personally, at my local game store, a ton of people play I'm having a brain fart, I'm sorry. A ton of people play Storm. So that's why I prefer Spell Bomb over Grafdigger's Cage. I have been experimenting with it. If you're going to a place you're not familiar with, or you're going to an SCG tour event and you're just doing side events, or let's say you're doing the main event or whatever, it's probably better to play 2 Grafdigger's Cage in general, because with Spell Bomb, the reason why I play it is if your opponent is playing Storm and they bounce a Cage, then they can go off. Where if they try bouncing a Spell Bomb, you can, in response, sacrifice it and exile everything, so you're still getting some value out of it. And then another thing to note is if you're having to play Spell Bomb, you have to take out the Surgicals and then the Crypt Incursions, because you're already exiling everything. So the Crypt Incursion and Surgicals get much worse. So that's why, in general, the Grafdigger's Cage is so much better. And that's another reason why a lot of you are probably going to be confused why we don't play Leyline of the Void, is because we have cards such as Surgical Extraction and Crypt Incursion, where we're hurting ourselves too much than getting value out of having Leyline of the Void, if that makes any sense. Um, so the spell bombs are situational. If you think they would be better, by all means play them. If not, Grafdigger's Cage all the way. So that's where those stand. With this spreading seas, a ton of people too at my game shop like to play Tron. So I sideboard 3 spreading seas. I would say these are the most versatile sideboard spots. So if you're really looking to tweak this deck a little bit in the sideboard to meet your local meta, the 3 spreading seas are the ones to switch around. Like I said, a lot of people play Tron at my place, so I play spreading seas. 3 of them sideboard. Echoing Truth, I do 2 of those. Even if our opponents do have a ley line, we still can bounce it with Echoing Truth. It kind of feels bad because they can play it again, but if we bounce it on turn 2 and they can't find a second white source, they can't hit that 4th land, then we're golden. And not only that, but it's great against token decks and other nonsense our opponents may be doing. We play 2 Echoing Truths, and then Stony Silence. This is just another prime example why Esper Mill is so dominant compared to blue-black, because we get access sideboard to such a variety of sideboard cards. So Stony Silence, typical destroy affinity, that kind of nonsense. So there's the deck list. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be confused, why aren't you playing Manic Scribe? Why aren't you playing Jace's Phantasm, Mesmeric Orb, Hedron Crab? And I'd love to go over that with you guys. Starting with Mesmeric Orb, I really don't like it. And the reason why I don't like Mesmeric Orb is, let's say on average, every turn we're milling our opponent 3 or 4 cards. Great, it adds up. But we're also, let's say, milling ourselves 3 or 4 cards. The problem is we end up milling ourselves out of so many key aspects. Let's say we mill ourselves out of like an Ensnaring Bridge and we needed it, and an Archive Trap, and our opponents ended up searching, and like a Breaking and Entering, or a Glimpse, or Mind Funeral. The problem is we end up milling so many good cards just to hit our opponent a little bit. It's better just to pay the 2 and mill your opponent 10 and be done with it. There's no backlash. So that's why I really don't like Mesmeric Orb. When it comes to Manic Scribe, it's hard with this version of the deck to get Delirium. It's not a whole lot to explain. That's why I don't like it. Hedron Crab, I used to actually play quite a bit. The reason why I don't like Hedron Crab is there's just so much removal right now going around in the modern format. You have Path to Exile, Fatal Push, Lightning Bolt, Abrupt Decay. The list goes on. Terminate. The list goes on and on and on and on. And not only that, but late game, there are games, especially in Mill, where it's going to get down to the wire, and you have to rely on getting a top deck of like a Breaking and Entering, or a Glimpse, or Mind Funeral. You only have to mill your opponent like 3 or 4 cards and you win, and then you draw a Hedron Crab and you feel bad. So that's why I used to be a fan of Hedron Crab, but after fully playing the deck and understanding how it works, I don't like it. There's just so many ways it can die. And that's the same reason why I don't like Jace's Phantasm. There's so many ways to kill it. Yeah, it's a 5/5 for 1 once there's 10 cards in your opponent's graveyard, but our goal as mill is to mill them out. It's not to deal damage to them. And yes, there's the argument of, well, now they're having to worry about a 5/5, but you got to realize you're just letting them play their removal and getting value out of it. And that's the thing, if you guys haven't noticed yet, is with this deck, there's 0 creatures. So our opponent could, start the game with 2 Path to Exiles and Abrupt Decay, and they think they're golden because they can shred through anything we're going to play, and they're just sitting on 3 dead cards now. So that's the deck list. If you guys have any questions or concerns, or you just want to debate anything, by all means, let me know. Leave a comment down below. We'll switch over to some actual games here. See here. Looks like we're on the play. We have 2 lands, Surgical Thought Scour, a couple mill spells, Fraying Sanity. We're definitely going to keep this. This is a great hand. Let's see what we're going to play against here. We are going to lead off with a Watery Grave. We're going to shock ourselves and Thought Scour. Thought Scour our opponent. The reason why we're going to Thought Scour right away and not wait till end step is we have Surgical Extraction in our opening hand. There is a chance that we mill something that's good in the deck or, somewhat reasonable. And then we can just Surgical Extract it after they draw a card. So that's our gameplay here so far. Let's see what we can hit here. Just waiting on our opponent. He probably doesn't know what's going on here. So Dismember and Elms of the Vile. Unfortunately, neither of those really affect us since we really three life isn't gonna make or break us, and a Dismember is a completely dead card. So we don't have to worry about any nonsense from our opponent. He led with a Swamp. Harsh Scrutiny. That's actually great for us. We don't play any creatures, so yeah, they get the information that we're playing mill, but kind of a whiff on their part. So they're probably going to take a minute or two and write down our hand here so they know what we're playing. And they're going to ship it back to us, it looks like. If we do draw a second, like another glimpse, yep. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to glimpse since we drew a second one. So we're going to glimpse this turn, hoping we get something decent, and then we can Surgical it. Oh, so they're actually on 8-rack, it looks like. Yep. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pass it back to them. We will let them draw. So they drew. And then we will Surgical Extract the rack. So our opponent's just waiting here. Probably a little upset with us, but that's why we mainboard the 4 Surgicals. They're such a good card. You see so many key resources. Okay, so we're going to get Destroy Target, Inquisition. So we're going to get one of the racks from our opponent's hand, which is great. And then we get the other 2. They are running a slight different version, so I'm trying to see what they're on. Oh, wow. That's not bad. Ensnaring Bridge, yep. Okay, so. And we'll let them do whatever they want here. I'm guessing they're probably going to play a second land and then Mind Wrench us. In that case, we're probably going to end up pitching. Oh, Inquisition. That's even better. That's great. We can definitely live through an Inquisition. That was definitely a misplay from our opponent there. So we will definitely be capitalizing on that. With the Mind Wrench, though, if they would have, I would have had to keep the island so we can have a. Actually, no. I probably would have. I probably would have pitched the Fraying Sanity, and then probably the. Gosh, this is hard. Probably the. They don't have a lot of threats. So I probably would have pitched, the Mind Funeral and the Glimpse. Because then I just rely on top decking a mill spell and kind of just one-shot them, essentially. Oh, a second Mind Funeral. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. So we're going to play an island here. We have to play the Fraying Sanity as bad as it feels, even though they're just going to... what's it called? I was just talking about it. Mind Wrench us. This next turn, they're just going to Mind Wrench us and have us discard our two Mind Funerals, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it. We kind of just have to work through the hate here. Sticking a Fraying Sanity is nice, though, because at this point we're online for just drawing any form of mill card and essentially almost winning the game off of it, so we definitely can live off this hate. So let's see what our opponent does here. Another swamp. Yep, there's the Wrench Mine that I was predicting. Yep. So this stinks for us, but there's not a whole lot we can do. Fraying Sanity will trigger, mill them 1 because they played 1 spell. So, yep. And what do we get, folks? Visions of Beyond. So at this point, I'm actually going to cycle the Visions of Beyond. They are at 15, but they have so many discard spells, if I hold on to the Visions of Beyond, it's just going to get ripped out of me anyways. So at this point, at least I have a chance of drawing and Snaring Bridge. That's not really good anyways either. So at this point, we cycled through a dead card, so we just got 1 turn closer to drawing a way to win. They're obviously going to whatever. Inquisition, Thoughtseize, Raven's Crime us here and get rid of the bridge, but either way, we had to play the shoot, no, I can't think of it. Gosh, we had to play the Visions of Beyond because it was going to get discarded regardless. So, oh wow, pass it back to us. Alright, this is excellent for us. So we are going to breaking them, have a mill 8, and then Fraying Sanity is going to trigger on our end step, and they'll mill another 8. So this is really like milling them 16. So we're almost to victory, baby. So yep. So Fraying Sanity triggers. It's going to be 8 more. There we go. And I was wrong. Before you guys harassed me in the comments, I was wrong for cycling the Visions of Beyond. I'm kind of just showing you guys how this deck works and playing for fun. I forgot they do have 2 removal spells in their hand, so they didn't have a way of getting rid of the Visions of Beyond. So that was a misplay on my part. I will admit it. So before all of you start freaking out on me, yeah, that was definitely a misplay. I'm sorry. I did realize that, but that's part of the game too, is just learning from your mistakes, you know. That's how you become a better player. So, see what we can't draw here, and another breaking, which is wonderful for us. We couldn't be any happier. We'll do that here and just pass it to them then. So I'm pretty sure we got them here, because spawning pool until so I'll be taking a total of 4, 8, 12. So I have 1, 2, 3. I have three turns to draw. Or no, yeah, they're just dead. They're just dead. Yeah. Yep. So we got game 1 here. Game 2, and this is why Esper Mill is so much better, is, you know, we had to kind of grind to get through here. And this is the lovely thing about Esper Mill, is they've seen an island, a drowned catacomb, a watery grave, you know, Ensnaring Bridge, a bunch of mill cards. You know, they have no idea we have white in this deck. When we open the game up with with a white ley line, they might just think it's a couple in sideboard just for some cheese, but then we're also going to end up putting the fragmentizes in to blow up the shrieking afflictions and racks. So we definitely this match is ours. 8 rack in general is just in our favor for Esper Mill because of the key sideboard cards we get. Um, Yep. So he realized he was dead. He conceded. So Ensnaring Bridge is definitely coming out. Yes, they're man lands. You know, they beat on us, but if we just lose to man lands, we probably just deserve to lose. Crypt Incursions are going to come out. They play 0 creatures. Path of Exiles are going to come out. We're going to put in the 3 Fragmentize, the 3 Ley Lines. Here we have a little bit of wiggle room. I do like the Spreading Seas here because it replaces itself, and then it also it also can turn off their man lands or just their normal lands. I guess we have to throw one more thing in. I guess 1 Path to Exile wouldn't be terrible because we could exile one of their lands when it's a man land, and at least we can hope that they search for a land, I guess. I mean, Spellbomb 2 is also an option just for a cantrip. You know, it kind of sucks that you have to pay 2 to draw a card, but that's also an option. Yeah, I think at this point I kind of like Path. So we'll run this.
Your game has started.
See how it goes. We do have a double Leyline opening hand. We are definitely gonna snap keep this. We got 3 lands, Visions of Beyond, a Glimpse of the Unthinkable. We could not be any happier here. We are definitely gonna be playing both of those and let our opponent weep. And at this point, if our opponent doesn't scoop, you know, that's another thing. I always play games out despite the odds against me, but I would be surprised if our opponent just doesn't give up here, because 8 rack against not only 1 but 2 ley lines is very, very hard to compete. As of right now, if we don't draw really another Glimpse or Mill spell, I think we're going to cycle the Visions of Beyond just because we want to get some gas. We did end up getting another Mill spell, so we are just going to play a tapped Watery Grave and ship it back to them. Then turn 2, we'll go Drown Catacomb and play Breaking. It's always better to play Breaking over Glimpse before you have a Fraying Sanity, because if you play a Fraying Sanity and you play the Glimpse first instead of the Breaking, you're losing a total of 4 cards because Breaking is 2 more, and then on the end step, the Fraying Sanity triggers and hits for another 2. This is another thing I see a lot of people put in against us is Damping Sphere. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it's a newer card. It's an artifact, cost 2. It says if a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces just 1 instead of any mana type. And the other is each spell a player casts costs 1 colorless more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. So, example, if we play like, you know, if we would play Glimpse the Unthinkable and then we would want to play Breaking and Entering, it would cost us a total of 5 instead of 4 because it cost 1 extra. But what people don't understand is we're normally just playing 1 spell at a time every turn, so it's not that big a deal. It's a wrong sideboard card for a lot of people against us. Wow, he actually put 2 of them in against us. That's very surprising. We did hit 2 small pox, which is great. It's each player, so it does get around Leyline. We also hit a Shrieking Afflictions, which is also awesome. Let's see what our opponent has here. This is just a really rough matchup for our opponent. There's not really a whole lot they can do. They did get their man land, which isn't the end, or no. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. That's not their man land. That's the one where they can return an artifact. So that does kind of suck. They can return the rack. Um, he is gonna smallpox here, which is a very good play from him. I'm actually gonna end up pitching the breaking here, and then I will sacrifice the drowned catacomb. And the reason why I got rid of the breaking instead of the land or visions is with the land, I want to be online for Frank Sanity, and then visions here also. Um, I will be able to shack myself here and then glimpse him. And now he's online for 20. So our next turn we can draw the 3 cards. Oh, what is he? This is another thing. See, this is what I love about Mill is no one knows what to sideboard against you. Like so many people are used to these blue black standard, you know, cookie cutter famous YouTuber Mill deck lists, and no one knows what to put in against this deck list. This guy put Damping Spheres in. He put Relica Progenitus. That does absolutely nothing. Pithing Needle. He could not name a target for Pithing Needle that would affect our deck. So this is just lovely. We cannot be any happier. Um, so one, two Shrieking Afflictions so far in the graveyard and 0 racks. I think what we're going to do here is because of the Damping Sphere, we can't play Surgical for free on our turn. But now that it's their turn, we're going to let them draw. And then we're going to pay the 2 life and Surgical Extract the Shrieking Affliction here. It's one of their very few ways of actually winning. So despite the fact of 2 of them being in their graveyard, we're still getting value out of this decision. It looks like they have a double rack Funeral Charm and Raven's Crime. So double rack does kind of stink for us, but getting rid of the Shrieking Afflictions is always good. And we will pass it back to them. I assume... Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. That was an interesting play. So here we're going to do the visions, hope we can hit a land. Oh, wait. Oh my god. That was such a misplay. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Wow. Wow. I am actually bad. Wow. I didn't even think about that. I surgical extracted 2 cards when they had 21 in their graveyard, and then I just played Visions of Beyond, and because of that, I only drew 1 card instead of 3. Wow. That feels bad. Holy smokes. I have never done that before. Honest to God truth, I have never done that before. But that's how you learn. Am I right? That's exactly how you learn. I'll never make that mistake again. I'll always make sure that this is at 20, despite the fact of it being at 20 the last turn. Wow, I can't believe I did that. That's okay. That's how you learn. Mind Funeral? We really can't play it, sadly. We don't have any lands. I'm kind of confused. Our opponent is sitting on Rack Inquisition. They can't Inquisition us. I'm confused why they're just not playing the rack. It still does get around Leyline. Both the rack and Shrieking Affliction actually work around Leyline, so I'm thinking maybe our opponent doesn't know that. That's my best guess. Oh great. Okay. Now we're in some business. So we're just gonna get a basic here. Basic island. And then we will Mind Funeral them. See what we can hit here. See if we have any luck on our side. Oh, wow, that was very nice. Holy smokes. Sweet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cards. That's pretty good. So the rack. Choose an opponent. Yeah, you choose, not target. So our opponent is misplaying a little. He has 2 racks in hand. He could be playing them, but he must not know any better. Which I'll gladly let him know at the end of the game here. Yep, so he's just doing that. He's going to return Ratchet Bomb, but at this point we've done so much damage to him. For him to tick up Ratchet Bomb is just... it's never going to happen. So... yep, plays Ratchet Bomb. Yep, put a counter on it. Sounds good. Let's see what we draw here. Another Watery Grave. I think at this point we just wanna... I guess we could draw land and then just archive trap them. So we'll ship it back to them just in case they figure out that the rack can be played. We can fragmentize one of the racks they'll play. Otherwise, too, if we can't find an answer before Ratchet Bomb ticks off, we always can fragmentize the Ratchet Bomb and still be safe. So either way, we're in good shape. Our opponent's only at 13 cards. We're at 14 life, which is a ton. So our opponent really doesn't have any pressure, obviously, so we're doing great. I'm not really too worried. We should have this match in the bag here. Our opponent is thinking on what they should do. It would be hilarious if our opponent somehow searched, but it is literally impossible for them to do so. Another archive trap. Ugh. Well, we just need a Field of Ruin or another land. Field of Ruin or any other land just wins us the game at this point, or I guess a Glimpse would do it, or something like that. Really, any form of mill spell would almost close out the game here. Our opponent plays a swamp, and I assume he's just going to pass it back to us because of our 2 ley lines. Yep, put a charge counter on that bad boy. So if we don't find another answer to win the game here, we're just going to have to fragmentize the Ratchet Bomb. Oh, there's a land. So we just win here. We'll just get up a island and archive trap them. This is a very, very rare case where you actually have to hard cast it, but this is a great example why we play the Field of Ruin, though, so we can force them to search. Obviously, they have basic swamps out now, but they have a play set of the spawning pool, and then also, where is it? They had another one, I thought. They have spawning pool and then the... where was it? Oh, the Buried Ruin, I'm sorry. So, yep, we got that match. So, against 8-Rack, we did pretty good. We'll do another match here and see if we can't win another one. So, it looks like our opponent is going to be on the play. So, we have 1, 2, 3, One, two, three, four, 5 lands, 2 mill spells. I really don't like this. If one of these lands would also be another mill spell, I'd be happy with it. But wow, this is unfortunate. I mean, at this point, I think we kind of just gonna have to grind through it. We'll bottom that. We are on the draw, and then we also have a turn one Thought Scour, so we're gonna be seeing 2 cards this turn. So, and we'll play the Flooded Strand and get a basic island to help thin out the deck. Uh, Water. Wow, this is unfortunate. We're just getting flooded right off the gate here. And what do we draw? Glimpse. Okay, so we're not in terrible shape here. If our I forgot to see our opponent. Oh wow, what kind of nonsense? Some sort of shadow deck. It looks like. Huh. Okay. Well, we are in great shape here. Um, oh wow, yeah, we're gonna be doing great here. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna search up for a mountain here. I just want to thin the deck as much as possible since we've been flooded already. Um, I want to be able to increase our chances of drawing an answer to just close this game. The reason I'm going Glimpse here is because I don't have a Fraying Sanity, but I also have the Crypt Incursion. They might have a counterspell here, which is why they're cracking the Polluted Delta, which would be unfortunate, but when it comes to counterspells, you kind of just have to brute force your way through them. Otherwise, yeah, Mana Leak. Otherwise, you're just never going to be able to play anything, and you just sit with a handful of cards you can't do anything with. Another thing is I'd rather have them Mana Leak something like a Mind Funeral or a Glimpse the Unthinkable than a Crypt Incursion. Because at this point, our out for this game is a Crypt Incursion. So, whenever you cast a Spirit Arcane spell, you may search your library for an... Oh, wow. That's awesome. This is awesome. So, if we draw a... Oh, there's the Archive Trap. Wow. Holy smokes. We have some luck on us. And they're tapped out, so we will gladly Mind Funeral them. What do we get here? It's not terrible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wow. That was a pretty decent Mind Funeral. And then I'm hoping that they'll play a Spirit this turn and be tapped out, and then we can just Archive Trap them, which is free 13. And then if they're tapped out anyways, I think we're going to Crypt Incursion them just to be on the safe side because they have so many counterspells. Yep, there's the Hyena Umbra. Yep. Yep. Oh, wow. They're not even going to be searching this turn. They're just going to suit them up. Okay. That's reasonable from our opponent. They also could be waiting and then go second main phase land and then play a Spirit. Nope. They'll just pass it. Oh, wow. A second Archive Trap here. So, I'm not really too worried at this point. We can go a tapped Watery Grave. We don't want to conceal that we are playing Esper Mill yet, unless we absolutely have to. And the reason why I'm not Crypt Incursioning now is because it's at instant speed. So if our opponent does end up searching before we have to Crypt Incursion, we can Archive Trap them and then just get more value out of it. So that's our thought process there. I'm hoping that they just tap out for some sort of creature, and then they get the triggered ability off this guy. Oh no, it's whenever you cast a Spirit or Arcane spell. Yeah. So I was right. It is a Spirit. So I'm hoping they play some sort of Spirit here and tap out for it. Let's see what our opponent is thinking of. They might just keep suiting up this this one guy. Okay. Yep. So, yep. So the nice thing is here is he's gonna search, and then after he's done searching before Yep, yep, yep. So right now he's tapped out, and he hasn't drawn the card through reach through miss yet. So right now is going to be the time that I archive trap him, because he could have a land or draw a land and then draw some form of like dispel or some nonsense. So that's why we're doing it right now. Is there's a very slim chance, but we are working around him possibly having a counterspell or drawing into a counterspell. So we're going to double archive trap him, and this is why we play Crypt Incursion, folks. We're at 14 life. You ready for this? And we are going to be at about a million. Oh, 47 life. That's wonderful. And at that point, our opponent probably just concedes. Yep. Wonderful. So they're just playing Spirit Ghost nonsense stuff. I really don't like the Path of Exiles here, since they're just shooting up their guy and making them hexproof and whatnot anyways. Surgical Extraction is kind of mediocre. Boy, we really don't have a lot against these folks. Spreading Seas is reasonable. It can shut them off lands, since they're pretty greedy with their mana base, and then it replaces itself. So I can definitely live with that. Ley lines really don't do anything. I guess we can keep the surgicals in. They can cut them off some key aspects. Another thing is you always want to bring 2 Fragmentizes in against any green or white deck, because they're probably running some form of ley line effect against you. So it's good practice to always bring 2 Fragmentizes in. I rather sit on a dead Fragmentize and have it do nothing this whole game than have them start with a ley line or have some sort of effect like white ley line, and then you just lose the game because of it. Here I'm going to go tap Watergrave and pass. If they play a land that's not blue, or it's more of like a greedy land, I will Spreading Seas this next turn. Otherwise, I'm just going to Breaking and Entering and hope I can Surgical something that's worth it. And then from there, I'll probably end up slamming a bridge if I draw another land. It all just depends what our opponent does here. He's probably thinking. He does a Watery Grave. Yep. Does a Tails Whip. Ooh, another Spreading Seas. So, I think at this point, because our opponent plays so many white auras, we have to Spreading Seas their only white source at this point. We get to draw a card off Spreading Seas, which is Frank Sanity. That is excellent for us. Whoops. And I think we're just going to ship it back to our opponent. Hopefully they don't have another white source. Like I said, normally people like this are really greedy with their mana base, and they only keep a 1 or 2 lander. So if we can just get them out of this game by a single Spreading Seas or 2, that would feel really good. It would be nice to draw another land here, either off our drop return or off of the Spreading Seas. That is unfortunate. They had another land, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it. At this point, we are just going to Spreading Seas another white source here. Hope to draw a land per turn. Don't get the land. Oof. That kind of stinks. At this point, we're going to pitch the Fragmentize. We really don't need it. If we can draw a land here, then we're in business. That would be nice. Another white source they have available, so that's unfortunate, but what do you do? There's a Field of Ruin. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're not really under a lot of pressure. They're only doing 3 damage every turn. So that's why I'm more opt to just play the Frank Sanity this turn. And then, oh wow, they're going to mana leak it. Okay. That is fair. Yep. Nope, I can't pay that cost. That is fine. Next turn, then I'll just glimpse them, and then if I hit anything reasonable, I can just surgical it, and then we can work around it from there. Snow-covered island. Sure. Yep. Trigger. They're searching. What are they gonna get here? Yep. 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 So they're going to be able to search again here. They're going to get up at Umbra. Yep. Get to draw a bunch of cards, which is unfortunate, but not a whole lot we can do there. Yep. And at least they're off some of their white sources, so they can't just suit up their guys for a million. They are getting bigger, so that is kind of a problem, but we definitely still have a chance of being in this game. So, what do we want to do here? I think we're breaking. See if we can bait out another counter spell. Negate is fine. I can live with negate. Yep. Yep. We'll ship it back to them here. So our game plan right now is both of them are 2/2s, and he's obviously going to be suited up a ton. So if we can, we're going to be taking 2 damage, so we're going to go down to 6. If we can afford to surgical even once off 2 life, we will. And then we can just slam a bridge. Serum Visions is fine. It would be nice if they only hit in for 4 damage. I would be shocked if they do. But if they do, that would be nice. Then we can just double surgical stuff. Play a bridge. Only go down to 3. Yep. I guess the 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can. We can afford to surgical once here. I'm trying to think. Would it matter if we draw a Shockland? No. So we will surgical here. We're going to get the mana leak. And, oh, they have a negate in hand. That is very unfortunate. Yeah. So they got us here. I misplayed taking the Path to Exiles out. I thought for sure they'd be playing the one that gives your guy hexproof. Yep. I did misplay that, which is fine. So we will just readjust here. Fragmentizes can come out. It's better to be safe than sorry. I like the Path to Exiles obviously now. I definitely like those. Crypt Incursions are fine. We can probably cut a Spreading Seas and a Surgical. Ship it back that way.
Your game has started.
We'll take the play. Archive Trap is huge. We got a couple lands, Spreading Seas, Path to Exile, Glimpse. We'll definitely keep this. Turn 1, we're going to have to shock ourselves for a... I can't think of the name now. For the blue-white shock land, so we're online for Path to Exile, and then we also can Thought Scour this turn. And then turn 2, depending what they do, we'll probably end up spreading seas, since if they keep a greedy land hand, or a greedy hand with not a lot of lands, then we can just win off of doing that. Thought Scour them. Draw another Spreading Seas. Get a negate out of the way. So we definitely will be suiting them up with some Spreading Seas here. Hopefully we can hate on them enough to punish them. That would be nice. Yep, Watery Grave for his Serum Visions. That's perfectly fine. At this point, since they're going to be searching so much from the guide that they have, Archive Trap is online for free. I can also path them, and they're probably going to search, so Archive Trap is for free. So that's why I'm so comfortable just spreading seizing them here for a couple turns. Plus, I get to draw an extra card. I drew a bridge, which is always nice. I accidentally showed them the bridge. That's the thing I don't like about X-Mage, is if you accidentally click on the card, it shows over here on the stack so your opponent can see what it is. So just be conscious about that. We are just playing for fun, so it's not that big a deal. And they ship it back to us, it looks like. We're just waiting on our opponent to pass it back to us so we can start our turn. So normally we would slam the Fraying Sanity here. I'm assuming they've gotten screwed because of that first Spreading Seas. So I'm going to end up going land and then Spreading Seizing them again. And if they somehow have a creature, I can end up pathing it and then Archive Trapping them. So At this point, we're in great shape. I accidentally clicked through my main phase. I always can just do this on my second main phase, so it's not that big a deal. Yep. Alright, so we'll go to land. We're going to Spreading Seas that. Hopefully punish them. Draw off Spreading Seas. Get a Mind Funeral. So at this point, we're so set up that that it really doesn't matter what our opponent has. We've screwed them out of their mana base. We have a Flooded Strand we can crack for a white source to be able to Path to Exile here if we have to. Next turn, we're going to play the Fraying Sanity, and then we're going to follow it up with the Glimpse and Mind Funeral and just win. So we're in great shape here. I'm not really too worried about what our opponent has or what they'll be doing. Taps Colonnade, which is great for us. The fact that it comes in tapped, of course. Then they're just going to ship it back to us. I'm sure it's because we've just mana screwed them. At this point, we will just get a Watery Grave tapped. Untap here. Just waiting on our opponents. Come on. There can't be a whole lot that you're debating on doing here. It would be unfortunate if they have like a negate or mana leak for the Fraying Sanity, but I am kind of tempted to lead out the bridge to bait them, since they have 7 cards in hand, or lead out with a Mind Funeral. So it all just depends. What we draw here too is a big factor. If we get a second copy of like Fraying Sanity or Ensnaring Bridge, we're obviously just going to slam one of the two. Field of Ruin is actually wonderful here. I think at this point we probably can just slam the Ensnaring Bridge. If they want to counter it, that's fine. Yep, that's perfectly fine. Yep. counter away. We will say we'll hold up Path to Exile if they play anything. Then they'll end up searching. We can archive trap after that. Um, we're then gonna play Mind Funeral. Normally, I don't like to this late in the game or this early in the game, like their library wise. But they obviously have some sort of counter spell. Oh wow! They actually tapped out. That was very poor of them. That is, if they had another counter spell. Wow, that surprises me actually. Sweet. Wow. This is awesome. So we actually can play the Watery Grave. Yep, play the Watery Grave. Oh, that was bad. I didn't mean to do that. I did not mean to do that. I meant to hit the Watery Grave, then go water, or the Field of Ruin, then Watery Grave, Drown Catacomb. Our opponent is nice though. They are nice. So we'll go tap Watery Grave. That's another thing, guys. Just be. It's easier to misclick stuff, even if like you're here, or if you're very close to it, or you go fast. If you do actions really fast. If you go, it didn't catch any of that. So just make sure you're clicking on what you're wanting to do. So we're gonna go Frank Sanity, and then we're just gonna glimpse them because they're tapped out. So this is gonna be a total of 20. I mill them for 10, and then Frank Sanity checks on their end step, and they mill another 10. So at this point, they're gonna be hurting pretty bad. Even if they have the counter spell for Mind Funeral, that's fine. Next turn, we can just Field or Ruin them. Oh, wow. Core. That's fine. Yep. I will gladly Path to Exile that and hope to... we'll accept it. We accidentally misclicked, so we'll gladly let them... We will gladly let them. Like I said, it's very, very easy, especially when you're just playing fast or you're not really paying attention. Just click through stuff very quickly. Rest in Peace is fine. The reason why he did that is he's afraid from the surgical extractions and then the, shoot, what's it called? Crypt incursions, which is very respectable, actually. So he is obviously holding up some form of counterspell. So what I'm actually gonna end up what I'm gonna do here is, oh golly, so I can pay to. Wow, this is gonna work out perfectly. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, whoops. I'm going to pay the 2, and I'm going to blow up his Drown Catacomb. Yep, pay the 2. We both have to search now. Yep, he's going to float the mana, which is fine. So we're both going to search. What do I need here? I don't think it matters. I'll get an island since we have more blue. Alright, so then we're gonna... He's floating blue, so he could have multiple spells. So what we're gonna do here is we are actually gonna move to our next main step. So he has to pass that mana. He can't just keep it floating the whole time. And then we're gonna Mind Funeral him. And we're gonna bait him with the Mind Funeral and hope he taps out to counter it, or wastes his counter on it, and then on our end step, we're going to pass him priority, and then if he passes back to us, we're going to archive trap him, and then hopefully just win off that. So, that would be nice. Yep, here's the negate. So this is awesome, actually. This is great. I could not be any happier. Yep. So, and the reason why we're waiting for the archive trap on right now is he might have done something. Um, like, what's it called? I can't think of the name. Whoops. The reach through. We didn't know if he was going to do reach through. So now we can pay its cost, and Frank Sanity is still going to trigger for the archive trap, so we'll just win. Yep. So now Frank Sanity is going to check. Oh, wait, what? Turns off Sanity. When Rest in Peace enters the graveyard, exile all cards from all graveyards. If a card or token be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess it does, since it doesn't hit the graveyard. At the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts the top. Yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah, that's well played. Yeah, that does turn off Frank's sanity. I'm actually learning a lot tonight with these games. I'm not gonna lie. I've never had this interaction before the rest in peace with the Frank sanity, so I'm glad this is actually happening. This is what I love about this game is there's so much to learn. Yep, you can definitely play a core. As long yeah, so we're in great shape here. We're gonna we're gonna path the core, and he either has to yep, yep. Okay, what do we draw? Oof, land. So we actually might be in trouble here. So I think we're gonna path the core. That goes through. Okay. Well, we gotta hope that they don't have a counter spell. That's really what it relies on. If they have a counter spell, we lose. Oh, we got there. We actually got there with 2 life. Wow. Wow. Holy smokes. We actually got there. Wow. Would you look at that? Wow. That was nice. Well, that was another match we stomped with Mill. We'll do one more here. It's getting late. Esper Mill here. Um, we are currently 2-0. I would love to do 4 matches with you guys, but it's just getting to be too late. I got work at 8 in the morning. It's already 12:37, as you can see. Our opponent gets to go first. Unfortunately, this would be a great hand if we had a couple lands. We're going to have to ship it back. We got 2 lands, Thought Scour, Path, Archive Trap. This can be risky. We are going to end up keeping it, though. We do get the Scry. We'll keep the land on top. That's very nice for us. So... Oh, this is great, actually. This is a great matchup for us as Tron, is because we mainboard the 4 paths, or not paths, I'm sorry, the 4 surgical extractions. Wow, this is going to be a great matchup. And then we also get to archive trap them off the maps. So, I think we're just going to shock here. We're going to Thought Scour them, see what we draw. Breaking and Entering, that's a great card. So, our last match for tonight looks like it's going to be Tron. It'll be a fun one, that's for sure. We already hit a plant, so if we can draw... Oh, wow, they have mine. So, yep, there's the expedition map. So, we'll for sure be getting a free archive trap off the expedition map. If we can draw into a surgical extraction here, that would be wonderful. We can just surgical their nonsense, but we did not. So we're going to have to go down 3 life here, unfortunately, and get the Watery Grave. We're going to Breaking them. Have a Millate, see what we get. Ghost Quarter, Ballista, Smash your Tower, Mine, Endbringer. So not too bad. So, unfortunately, they're going to be on Tron here on their turn 3, but there's not a whole lot we can do. We do get a free archive trap, which will bring him down 13, and then um, I think we're gonna have to play the ensnaring bridge because they're gonna be on Tron. Oh, a thought not seer. Wow, we are just not having any luck tonight, are we? With the thought not seer hate. Well, it's either a bridge or path. I assume that they're gonna end up taking bridge, which means we're gonna have to path it. So it's unfortunate, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it. I assume, yeah, the bridge is going to be gone. I would be shocked if it's not, because this is the only way that we're going to be able to stop them. Is all his dust? Let me read that. Each player sacrifices all colored permanents. Wow. Yeah, there's the ensnaring bridge. Okay. Yep. So, hopefully we can draw a colored source mana so we can just path the Thought Not Seer and then Glimpse, but... Flooded Strand. Okay, so... We're just gonna go down one life here. Get a basic island. We can glimpse them here. Then what we're going to do is, since we're not worried about counter spells, we're going to wait till they untap. And then we're going to wait till they draw, because they could draw basic land. Statistically, there's a higher chance, and now we'll end up pathing him. So, at least, and the reason why I'm doing this, I don't have to worry about counter spells, and then the land they're getting enters tapped. So that's why we're doing it this way. Oh, wow. Okay. Only a waste. Okay, so it does help that they're not playing green for the Sylvan Scrying and all that nonsense. And another path is huge. Wow. Okay, so we are actually in pretty good shape here. Unless they have another... Wow, that's... Okay. They're not cracking the expedition map in fear of the archive trap, but I don't think they realize they're gonna be doing it anyways because of the Path of Exile I played on them. Oh, another path. This is great, actually. We are in wonderful shape. So I think what we're gonna do at this point is, since the archive trap is gone and they know it, what we're going to do is we're going to pass it to them and let them draw, and then we're going to path their Smasher, and then we're going to Field of Ruin their Mine, which seems fine. So, yep, you can definitely draw. Come on, opponent, you can give me priority back. Wait. Yep. Yep. Discard path. We just really have to get that Smasher out of there. We can't compete it with it. At this point, if they have another Smasher, we die, so... It's unfortunate that we have to get rid of another path, but at this point we really don't have a choice. So we're going to Field or Ruin their Mine here. Hopefully we can keep them off Tron. It would be nice. Kind of stinks if we can't, but what do you do? We're going to get a Swamp here since we only have one black source. We'll ship it back to them here. Are they only playing one waste? It wouldn't shock me. A lot of decks I've been seeing have only been playing one waste. Yep. So it looks like they are only playing one waste. There's the Smasher. Yep. So at this point, a bridge, Chalice, Chalice on 1? Okay. I honestly can live with that. It only shuts off, what, 10 of our cards? That's not bad. Chalice on 2 would have just been backbreaking. There's not a whole lot we can do with Chalice on 2. So we're actually gonna... Yeah. We're gonna Field of Ruin the Eldrazi Temple, actually. Get that out of there. Get that nonsense out of there. And we'll ship it back to them, I guess. Hopefully we can draw an answer, just a win con before Matter Shaper kills us, but we will see how this goes. We've been very fortunate with the Ratchet Bomb. What would they be worried about? Why are they mainboarding Ratchet Bomb? Wow. Unless they want to... Wow. Okay. I'm also confused why they did Chalice on 1 before they cracked the Expedition map, because now they're just completely off of Tron land. So... I'm going to play the Fraying Sanity here. At this point, I have... Unless they have some form of just nutty draw here and they draw a creature with haste, we have to get either another path or a mill card. Any mill card really just wins us the game here. You know, a breaking will do it. Archive Trap does it. We have 5. Not Fraying Sanity. Glimpse the Unthinkable will do it. Just know. Yep, he's gonna. Yep. Oh boy. Emrakul or some nonsense, I'm assuming. Yep, there's the mine. Oh boy. He has 7. Endbringer, yep. Well, I mean, it's not the end of the world, you know. We still have one more draw here to see if we can't pull something. Oh, a land. That is unfortunate. Our opponent's only had 11 cards, but sadly, there's not a whole lot we can do. Game 1, you know, we have the advantage, but especially Game 2, we pick up so heavily against them. I actually do like the ley lines here since they have so many, like Walking Ballista and Karn and all that other nonsense. So since we're fighting it that way, I really don't need the surgicals as much since we're going to be fighting them this way. Archive Trap is still good. Oh boy. We probably don't need all 3 Fragmentizes. I like the Spreading Seas, obviously. We can probably cut a Thought Scour, a Bridge, a Breaking. Oh boy. It'd be like an Archive Trap. That seems fine.
Your game has started.
Okay, let's see what we get here. So, 1, 2... I mean, this is good if they don't have any sideboard cards either. If they have sideboard cards too, we just lose. I think we're gonna have to mulligan here. We can be more aggressive because we have the Fragmentizes and the white ley lines. This is where it gets unfortunate, because if this was just one blue land, we can just double cantrip, and now we can't. Wow, deck, really? Whatever. This is very unfortunate. Yeah, we'll bottom that. Okay, well, this is going to be a fun match. I guess I just should have taken the 7 and hoped they didn't have anything against us. I'm just going to cycle the visions right away. This is going to be a very rough game. I mean, yes, we have the Field of Ruin, and we can Field of Ruin all their stuff, but we really don't have any action going on whatsoever. which is unfortunate, but we'll tap Hallowed Fountain and ship it back to them, I guess. Field of Ruin, I guess we're going to have to count on our turn 3. Hopefully they don't have anything really too explosive, but it wouldn't shock me if they went like Eldrazi Temple and just started some beatdowns. At this point, I'm hoping we can just survive to hit a bridge or a path to exile or something and stall the game out long enough. Oh wow, they missed a land drop. Holy cow. Okay, so I guess we do have a chance here. So we're definitely, since they missed the land drop, this is huge. We're definitely just gonna blow that up, and we're actually going to get a swamp. And since they searched, we get to archive trap them for free, which is awesome. Let's see what kind of sideboard stuff they brought in against us. Oh wow, they're actually playing Gut Shot. That's surprising. They already played Chalice. Okay. A lot of Tron lands. Wow, that's nice. There's the Eldrazi Temple. Yep, Matter Reshaper. Not really too surprising. Nice, a path. Paths are always nice. At this point, since they only play one waste, we're definitely going to punish them and just strip mine them. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, wow. They just must have maybe accidentally failed to find game 1? Huh. Weird. Okay. Well, this is fine. We'll let them draw, potentially draw a basic land, and then we'll just go to Path to Exile here. And another thing that's nice here is, yes, there's the small chance that they draw a land, but also, if they do have that third land, which they don't have the third waste, it enters tap, so they can't use it for the turn. You know, compared to me pathing on their end step, then they can use it. There's another temple, unfortunately. There's another reshaper, which is fine. We can, if they just have a handful of matter reshapers, we can definitely live through that. I'm not really too worried. Here's another drowned catacomb. We'll play that. We'll mind funeral them. I'm hoping it can be big. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which was very nice. We can go over to their graveyard here. How many? So, wow, did I mill them out of their mines? No. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did. I naturally milled them out of all their mines. Wow. Okay. Well, maybe we are actually in this game. I think we are actually. Another temple. We can live through a temple. If they thought not serious, they can take the ley line. Reality Smasher is fine too. They'll be getting in for 8. So they have us on a two-turn clock here, unless they have another Smasher next turn. So it would be nice if we can draw some sort of bridge or effect like that. A Fraying Sanity's fine. We'll be cutting it close here, but that's the name of the game. So as long as they don't have another creature with haste or like a walking ballista, you know, that would feel bad, because then they can just shoot us and we die. That's fine. So at this point, even drawing a glimpse would win us the game, because it mills them 10 and then Fraying Sanity triggers and it mills them another 10. So Thought Scour's fine. We're still in this game, and this is actually good, because now if we draw Breaking and Entering, we still win the game, and we just get the glimpse. Sweet. Okay. So we'll be sending this to game 3 somehow, mulling down to, what was it, like nothing. Down to 5, my lord. It's terrible. Sweet. Well, we got there. Game 2. We'll be shipping it back to game 3. Um, I think we can just live through all the ley line hate. I thought it would be worse. We're definitely bringing another trap in. Definitely another breaking. And then I think a bridge. Bridges are going to be
Your
huge
game
since they
has
just
started.
accelerate so fast. Um, this is actually very explosive here. If we can live to like turn 4 or 5 like we did last game, we are in great shape. They didn't go anything turn 1, so that's nice. We do have a spreading seas, which is very huge. So if they want to search this turn, we can archive trap them. Um, if we don't draw land, our turn 2, we're going to have to spreading seas the tower to hopefully get something. Mm. Okay, well, I actually am obligated to hit the temple because then they only can tap for 2. It does seem wrong now, but I'm just going for such an explosive game right now. I want to get rid of any early threats because if I can live to turn like 4 or 5, then it's just game. So that's why I went with the temple over the tower. Yep. Oh wow. Okay, we're not even punished here. Not even punished. Wow. We just have everything for us. Yep, draw a second archive trap. Holy cow. Sweet. This is awesome. Couldn't be any happier right now. And this is why it's such a good matchup for us, is especially too when you play with the spreading seas sideboard. You have the 3 spreading seas and then 3 fielder ruin, and then on top of that you have the 4. I can't think of it. 4 surgical extractions. So it's very explosive, and we actually here we can set up just a one-shot kill, which is very cheesy because we're gonna play Frank Sanity, and this is why I said it's so explosive. If we can live to turn 4 or 5, because next turn we're just gonna field to ruin them, and then we're gonna double archive trap them. So it's gonna be 26, and then archive trap is gonna or the Frank Sanity is going to trigger and do another 26, so it's going to be a total of 52 cards. So they're just completely dead next turn. And that's why it's nice having this Field of Ruin, is because they don't have a choice to search. If it was the Ghost Quarter, they wouldn't be searching like at all. So we're just going to go ahead and one-shot them here, which is going to feel super good. Yep, pay the 2, sacrifice, getting the islands. Yep, I'll pay nothing to mill you 13. Then I'll pay nothing to mill you 13. Type GG and be nice, of course, and move to end step, and you can mill another 26. Wow, that was nice. That was a very explosive game. Well, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. It was very fun playing with all of you. I hope you enjoyed the commentary in the games. I'm just starting off. If you guys can't tell, I'm sure you can notice my channel has like nothing. So any feedback would be great. If you guys if you guys can leave positive feedback, that'd be great. If you wanna, laugh and giggle on some of my dumb misplays and me goofing up, by all means go for it, because I got a hoot and holler out of it too. But I would love to know you guys' feedback on the deck list. I know it's probably different from things you've seen. I've personally watched a lot of like what is it called? MTG Goldfish and stuff like that, and they obviously play completely different deck lists. So I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. Like I said, you can harass me a little, but just keep it nice, You can share your opinion and whatnot, but I hope all of you have a great 4th of July here I know it's an odd time for me to start a channel like this. I'm actually going to be gone the 30th through the 7th for a vacation. So hopefully I'll have this uploaded before I leave so you guys can watch it. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to comment, and thank you for watching.